13. Of what stuff is the universe made? Ex qua materia constituos mundus. Human beings everywhere asked these questions. Historical records credit the Mycenaean philosophers like Thales, Anaximander and Anaximenes, among other 7 wise men, to be the first to systematically raise such existential questions. To the question, what is the basic stuff of the universe? Thales answered water. Water can account for the 3 basic structures of the universe: solid, liquid, and gas. The Milesians were, so to say, the first thinkers to employ the idea of a material principle or substratum as a reasoned account of reality, and with this, genuine philosophy free from methodological accounts began. The early Milesians, therefore, belong to the first historical epoch of philosophy, popularly called the ancient Greek philosophy, essentially characterized by the influence of reason. Historically, there are 5 periodizations of Western European philosophy, namely 1. Ancient Greek philosophy, 2. Medieval philosophy, 3. Modern philosophy, 4. Contemporary philosophy, and 5. Post-contemporary philosophy. The first period of ancient Greek philosophy. The ancient Greek period is divided into 3 phases, namely the pre-Socratic and Socratic, post-Socratic phases of Greek philosophy. The pre-Socratic phase spans from the time of Thales to the Sophists. The philosophers are Thales, Anaximander, Anaximenes, Pythagoras, known for the Pythagorean theory in mathematics and the theory of transmigration of soul. Parmenides, credited with formulating the theory that all things are permanent. Heraclitus, the philosopher of change, and lastly Zeno. These thinkers were called philosophizing physicists because their philosophy was based on natural phenomena. Above all, the role they accorded reason in attempting to discern the nature of reality is one of robust autonomy, free from methodological accounts. The second period of ancient philosophy. The Socratic phase marked the golden period of Greek philosophy. For the first time, philosophizing was centered on man. Greek questions with regards to man's nature, origins, existence, and end became the center of reflection. Great minds that flourished during this period include, among others, Socrates, the wisest Greek who ever lived on the face of the earth. He was the gadfly who awakened people from their dogmatic slumber by insisting that the unexamined life is not worth living. According to him, the man who knows himself is the man who lives a life of virtue, a life of constantly doing good. Through his dialectic method, he intellectually was able to terminate intellectually defective ideas among his interlocutors, a fact which led to his condemnation and subsequent murder. Plato, who was a disciple of Socrates, documented the views of his masters through his series of Platonic dialogues. Alfred North Whitehead insists that philosophy as we have it today consists of a series of footnotes on to Plato. Plato's importance lays in his division of the world into 2, namely the transcendental world, its reality, and the empirical world characterized by appearance. A philosopher, according to him, is one who is able to distinguish reality from appearance. The object of human knowledge is real, and this reality can only be discovered not in this world of appearance, imitation, photocopy, but in the world of forms. On the socio-political level, he propounded the doctrine of ideal states where only the philosopher king must rule. He concluded by saying that until philosophers become rulers, or rulers philosophers, the evil in the society cannot be solved. Closely connected to Plato is Aristotle. Aristotle claimed that he loved his master Plato, but he loved the truth better. He dealt a devastating blow on Plato by branding his idealism as a metaphysical extravaganza. Aristotle was the father of logic, metaphysics, ethics, epistemology, and most other branches of science. His contribution in the field of anthropology is remarkable. Specifically, he accepted the existence of the soul as an eternal source of motion, and he called such a soul entelechia. He defined philosophy as a search into the ultimate reality, and that man, through natural reason, can penetrate the ontologos, that is, the essence of being, and capable, therefore, of wisdomizing himself to the deepest knowledge of being. The third period of ancient philosophy. The post-Socratic period marked the period of various schools ranging from the garden of Epicurus, the Stoics, the Cynic, the Skeptics, until Emperor Justin put a nail to the coffin of philosophizing in the Greek world. Fourth period of ancient Greek philosophy. The fourth period embraces the philosophy of the age of the emperor, dating from the 1st century AD to 529 AD, at which time Emperor Justinian closed the Platonic Academy at Athens, confiscated its properties, and forbade all future philosophizing in Athens. This period was not creative. It destroyed all the achievements of the earlier periods. The works of the early Greek philosopher has been interpreted in various ways by modern historians. It has been regarded as the pursuit of physical science, Bonnet, or as a rational explanation of the mythological tradition, Comfort, or as an intellectual exercise in search of the divine, when the first principles and causes can be sought. These modern interpretations may be kept in mind as the story of Greek philosophy unfolds. This first historical epoch has been characterized as the Age of Reason because of the gradual development of human thought from mythology to rationality. Second historical period, Medieval period. This period is characterized by the Age of Faith, a period where attention shifted from cosmological, ethical, epistemological concern to the realm of religion and the existence of God. Among other thematic issues discussed during this era is the relation between faith and reason. The existence of this era is the relation between faith and reason. The existence of God, the immortality of the soul, the problem of universals, etc. It is important to observe that medieval philosophy includes Christian, Islamic, and Jewish philosophies. Personalities that flourished during this period are St. Augustine, Anselm, Aquinas, Duns Scotus, William of Ockham, Averroes, Avicenna, Ahaziel, Philo, and so on. Notable books written by these authors include The Confession by St. Augustine, City of God, Summa Contra Gentile, Summa Theologica by Thomas Aquinas, Boethius' Consolation of Philosophy. St. Anselm and Thomas Aquinas attempted to prove God's existence. St. Anselm's proof is called the ontological proof, while Aquinas' proof is called the cosmological proof, a proof that tries to establish God's existence from effect to cause. The third historical period, modern philosophy. The modern period was the era of the diminishing authority of the church and the increasing authority of reason and science. If the medieval period was the golden age of idealism and religion, the modern period was the apogee of materialism, of reason and science. If philosophy ceased to be the handmaid of theology, it has not yet become the chairwoman of science. It received stimulus from science, but it asserted its autonomy and independence. This period is characterized by the age of science. Modern philosophy is further divided into three camps, namely rationalism, empiricism, idealism. Rationalist tradition. Rationalism is an epistemological school of thought that maintains that the only way to true knowledge is reason, which possesses innate ideas of all reality. In effect, all rationalists claim that knowledge comes from reason. Proponents of rationalism include René Descartes with his doctrine of cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. Leibniz contributed two fundamental principles to modern philosophy, namely the principle of contradiction and the principle of sufficient reason. Both are based on Leibniz's idea of necessary truths. Spinoza is the last of the classical rationalist thinkers. His contribution to rationalism is documented in his main work entitled Ethics Demonstrated in a Quasi-Mathematical Manner, beginning with definition and axiom and proceeding through the orderly proving of successive propositions to the building up of a system of conclusions. The truth, of which is known with certainty. Empiricist tradition. Empiricism is another tradition under modern philosophy. It has ally in the development of the scientific spirit, and it insists that verification, observation, laboratory tests, and computerization should be authentic routes to knowledge. The three British empiricists, John Locke, David Hume, and Bishop Berkeley, are the proponents of this tradition. Locke concludes that we possess no innate knowledge, that man at birth is a tabula rasa, a clean slate, and it is in the process of growth that experience writes knowledge into the mind. The most basic elements of our knowledge are simple ideas such as the smell of a flower, the plate of food, the sound of music. These simple ideas are presented to us in sensations and reflection. David Hume, according to Arago, has distinguished himself as a consistent and coherent radical empiricist. For him, the only true knowledge is experiential. Any concept that is not available to sense perception is mere fanciful thinking. However, his empiricism culminated in skepticism, which none could reject and none could accept. The last personality here is Bishop George Berkeley, who propounded the theory of esse percipi, to exist is to be perceived. After abolishing matter, Berkeley is only saved from complete subjectivism by the use of God, which most subsequent philosophers has regarded as illegitimate in terms of conclusion. All in all, the empiricists rely on sense, experience, as the key source of knowledge, and that there is nothing in the intellect which was not first in the senses. Aristotle. Idealism.